Hello friends, here we will discuss the Incoterms. What do you mean by Incoterms? So friends, Incoterms means international commercial term. These are the international commercial terms. Now, what do you mean by Incoterm? See here the full form. See, IN stands for the international. Co stands for the commerce or the commercial, and terms are simply the terms. So international commercial terms or international commerce terms means the incoterms. So first understand what is mean by the incoterm. Incoterms is nothing but simply these are the international commercial or the commerce terms. What do you mean by that? See, international means these are internationally accepted terms, okay, and commercial means for the purpose of commercial businesses. So see here, suppose you are the person from India and other is person from USA. Suppose you are trading, you are doing some import export business. What you say and what the people of the USA understand, that means your business partner understand, there may be a conflict between you, right? So for example, if the Indian say I will ship you the material up to the your port or the destination, right? But USA people is not aware about if there is a damage between the transportation, right? That means there may be a conflicts may arise. So to avoid that, the terms are developed called as the incoterms. So what is the purpose of incoterms? These are generally used for the international businesses, right? So now see who prepare that terms. So incoterms are published by the ICC, means the International Chamber of Commerce, having headquarters at Paris. So International Chamber of Commerce prepares the incoterms. Prepares the incoterm. Incoterm means simply international commercial terms. Okay. Now see, the current version of the incoterm 2020 is effective from 1st January 2020. Now see here, we can say buyer and seller both agree to follow the incoterm for the international trade. Buyer and seller means you can say importer and exporter both should be agreed, and both are agreed to follow the incoterms, right? That means the terms which are both importer and exporter are agreed. That's why there should be no conflict in the seller and the buyer. Now see, the incoterms clearly states which task, cost, risk are associated with the buyer and the seller. Means what task should be performed, what is the cost, what is the risk, okay, and who should bear that, either buyer or the seller, right? Either importer or the exporter. That means there is a clarity about who will bear the which task, whom should be done, what the cost of shipment, who will carry, the cost of risk of damage of the goods, who will carry, who according to the incoterms clarify all that, so that there will be no conflict. Now see, there are total 11 incoterms. How many terms are there? Total 11 incoterms are there. Out of that, 4 are for sea and 7 are remaining for the any mode of a transport. Remember, total 11 incoterms are there. Out of that, 4 are for sea. 4 are for sea, or we can say marine transport, right? And 7 remaining are for any mode of transport. Very easy. So you first remember, what you have to remember, that there are total 11 incoterms. Out of that, 4 are for sea or the marine transportation, and 7 are for any mode of a transport. Now there are total 11. So how to remember? See, the term which start with the C, the term which start with C, for example CFR, CIF, CPT and CIP. The term with the D is the DPU, DAP, DDP. The term with the E and F are EXW, FCA, FAS and FOB. Okay, so these are the way you can remember. So it is not necessary that you should remember all the terms, but the point which you should remember here, that total 11 are there. Out of that, 4 are for sea or the marine transport and 7 are for the any mode of transport. Now we will discuss one by one, so you will get better clarity on the Incoterms. Now see, first is the FAS. So what is the full form of FAS term? It is the free alongside. What do you mean by free alongside? See, seller will bear all the cost up to the placing the goods by the side of the vessel. Seller will clear the custom duty also. So now if I say FAS, what do you mean by that? Whatever the shipping, here is the, suppose here is the ship. Suppose this is the ship. So seller will carry the goods and this will be placed just near the ship, but seller will not load that goods into the ship. Alongside ship means seller or the exporter will only keep that goods just adjacent to the ship, but it is not having involvement of the loading, right? That means only along the side. Okay, so what do you mean by first term FAS? That is free alongside. Seller only bear the cost up to placing the goods by the side of the vessel or by the side of the ship. Okay, and seller will clear the custom duty also while placing the goods at the ship side. Now next Incoterm is very interesting, FOB. FOB means what? Free on board, and this is the most used Incoterm. So there may be a question which is most used, so obviously it is the FOB. So here in case of FAS, the seller is only keeping the goods at the side of the vessel. In case of FOB, seller will place the good on board, that means inside the ship, and bear the all cost up to the boarding, means up to the loading of the good. So here is seller will keep all their goods on board, means on ship. So on ship, seller will place the good, whatever the cost incurred up to the loading of the item or the goods on the ship will be bared by the seller. So what do you mean by FAS? FAS means seller will keep only alongside of the vessel or the ship. FOB means the goods will be kept on board, means on the ship. Okay, and up to that cost will be bear by the seller. Next is CFR. CFR stands for cost and freight. Cost and freight. CFR means cost and the freight. So simply, what do you mean by freight? Means the obviously the freight charges or the courier charges or the transportation charges. Now CFR means the cost and freight will be borne by the seller. Now see here CIF means FOB plus seller will bear the freight charges up to the port of destination, means the transportation charges. Now see, suppose here is A and here is B and here is the C route, right? They have to go from A to B. So here in case of CFR, see what happened first. In case of FAS, only goods will be kept nearer to the ship. In case of FOB, goods will be loaded on the ship. In case of a CFR, goods will be loaded and that will be whatever the transportation charges, that is freight charges, will be borne by the seller. Okay, so CFR is nothing but the FOB plus freight charges. Okay, now next is the CIF. CIF is simply cost insurance freight, means cost will be borne for the loading, insurance charges will be borne, plus freight means transportation charges will be borne. Means what? See here, CFR plus seller will bear the cost of insurance also. So CIF means FAS is including, FOB is including, freight is also included, and insurance is also included. Okay, in case of CIF, what will happen? See, in case of CIF, here is the seller, here is the buyer. So goods will be loaded on the ship, transportation charges will be bared by the seller, and apart from that, whatever the insurance charges, right, that will be very beneficial from damage of the goods, that insurance, whatever the premium, will be borne by the seller. Okay, so what we are learning here, we learn the four, right? So as we move from FAS, FOB, CFR and CIF, we know that the responsibility of the seller has been increased, right? FAS, very less responsibility, seller will place only just beside the ship. FOB means seller will load on the ship. CFR means not only loading on the ship, also the transportation charges. CIF means not only the transportation charges but also the insurance cost. Okay, so in this way, as we move ahead, the risk of the or can say cost borne by the seller increases. Now we will move to the next, that we will discuss the Incoterms that for any mode of a transport. Okay, now first for here what we discussed, these are for the sea transport only, FAS, FOB, CFR, CIF, that will be used when you are transporting only through the sea or maritime transport. Now we will discuss the different Incoterms used for any mode of a transport. Now these are also very interesting. Now see, EXW. What is EXW? EXW stands for the X work or X warehouse. This is the X work or the X warehouse. Now what do you mean by that? It is very simple. Goods will be, see, if you know the full form, you will get the idea about the meaning of the Incoterm. So goods will be ready for a shipment and kept ready at the seller's factory or the warehouse, and it is more favorable to the seller. What do you mean by X work? Means the seller or the exporter will keep their good ready, right? And this is the factory of it, right? So goods are ready in the factory. So seller will say, or the exporter will say, my goods are ready at my factory, you come and you take away the goods. That is called the X works, means X warehouse. The seller is not doing anything, he just be having the goods ready at his own factory. Now whatever all the cost have to bear by the buyer or the importer, that is called as the X work. So it is more and most favorable to the seller, obviously. Now next is the FCA. FCA means free carrier alongside, free carrier alongside or free carrier at. It is also called as the free carrier at. Now see, defining place is very important here. Seller deliver the goods to the carrier stipulated by the buyer. Unloading at the place is the responsibility of the buyer. So now if I say that FCA, here stipulated by the seller delivered the goods to the carrier stipulated by the buyer. Unloading at the place is the responsibility of the. So here the same that free carrier at means whatever the transportation, that is carrier charges, will be borne by the seller. If I say FCA, if I say, suppose I say FCA at Mundra, means at a Mundra port, means whatever the carrier charges, that will be borne by the seller. That means I will if I am the seller, I will pack all the goods, put into the ship. That ship will be then move to the Mundra port. Okay, and that will be kept at a Mundra port. But whatever the unloading charges, these are the responsibility of the importer. Okay, that is called as the FCA, that is a free carrier alongside or the free carrier at. Now next is the CPT. It is the carriage paid to. It is the carriage paid to. For example, if I say CPT Mundra port, means what? See, seller will pay the port handling charges at the port of a shipment and the transportation cost up to the port of destination. So here what is additional is CPT means carriage paid to, means the seller or the exporter will pay port handling charges also at the port of a shipment, right? So whatever the port handling charges there different ports are having port handling charges, that will be paid by the seller. Okay, so up to destination, the responsibility in case of CPT, whatever the cost of transportation up to the destination port. Suppose I am transporting from Canada to the Mundra port in the Gujarat, right? So whatever the cost of transportation up to the Mundra port will be borne by the seller in case of CPT. Now, what do you mean by CIP? Carriage and insurance paid to. So CIP stands for carriage and insurance paid to. So seller will also bear the insurance charges. So it is very good for the buyer. So insurance premium or the insurance charges in addition to the transportation will be paid by the seller or the exporter. Now DAP means delivery at a place. It is the all responsibility will be of a seller. Delivery at a place. So, if I say DAP Mumbai, DAP Mumbai means suppose I am importing or exporting from Canada. So from Canada, delivery at a port Mumbai. Or if I say from Canada, DAP at Kochi. So I have to deliver all the goods up to the place Kochi. If there is, if instead of a port, if I say DAP, if I say DAP, suppose I will take the city like a Bangalore. Okay, it is not a port, right? If DAP Bangalore means delivery at a place of a Bangalore. So whatever the cost, all till the delivery in the Bangalore city is the responsibility of the seller. Okay, very easy. Now DPU stands for delivery at a place with unloaded. Delivery at a place with unloaded means what? Seller will bear the cost of unloading of the goods at the place of destination. Okay, and this is the term which previously was very much familiar with the name of a DAT. Now DAT is replaced by DPU, means delivery place unloaded. Now if the seller is sending the goods from Canada to Bangalore city, if it is mentioned DPU at Bangalore, DPU at Bangalore means the whatever the cost of till the Bangalore city, till the destination Bangalore, and unloading charges also from the vessel or from the truck, right? Whatever the or the container, whatever the unloading charges, all will be paid by the seller. Okay, that is called as the delivery at a place with unloaded. Now next seventh term we will discuss. DDP means delivery duty paid. So seller will bear the import duty also and taxes and customs clearance also. Means suppose from Canada the DDP at Bangalore means what? Transportation also, insurance also, right? Unloading charges also. Apart from that, if you are entering into the India, you have to pay the import duty, custom taxes. All will be borne by the seller. All will be borne by the seller. Okay, so seller has to pay all the things. That is called as the DDP in case of a DDP. Okay, delivery duty paid. Okay, these are the terms which we have discussed. Okay, very easy. If you know the meaning, you will get the responsibility of the seller. So FAS means free alongside. Seller will only keep the goods just nearer to the vessel or the ship. Free on board means seller will place that goods on the ship or the board. CFR means cost and freight, that is transportation charges, will be paid by the seller. CIF means transportation along with the insurance charges will be paid. Okay, so as we move further, here the responsibility of the seller is increases. Okay, the same way here for any mode of a transport. Now if you want to know further what is the responsibility in each case, okay, so here is the chart, you just go through it. Okay, I think it is visible to all of you. So now see here, first term EXW means X work. So here seller will place the goods up to its own factory. So buyer has to come and take the goods. So only packaging will be done by the seller. Rest all the things is the responsibility of the buyer. Okay, and you can see how it changes. Okay, maximum times insurance is negotiable, but insurance is not negotiable in case of CIF, where itself the meaning of CIF means cost insurance freight. So insurance is obviously paid by the seller. Okay, and CIP means carriage insurance paid. So here is also insurance is mentioned, so obviously must be paid by the seller. Rest things you can say insurance can be negotiable. It is not mandatory. Maximum times it is negotiable. Okay, but it is not negotiable in case of when in the term itself insurance is mentioned. Obviously they have to borne by the seller. Now you can see here the responsibility from X work. See, if you know the meaning, automatically you will get all the table. See, DDP means delivery duty paid at till the place. Delivery duty paid at a place. So maximum means almost all the responsibility lies with the seller till the delivery point, right? So but only the unloading will be the responsibility of the buyer. Okay, so in this way maximum, here you can see what which. So there will be a very simple question: which of the following Incoterm is most favorable to the seller? So answer is EXW. Here very less responsibility with the seller. Which of the following is most favorable to the buyer? So DDP is the most favorable to the buyer because very less responsibility with the buyer. All responsibilities are of a seller, right? So in this way there can be a question, right? So and which is the most widely used? FOB is most widely used. So here in case of FOB, packaging will be done by seller, loading will be done, then delivery to the port, if it is mentioned, that can be done. Duties will be, export duty will be paid, right? So and seller origin terminal charges will be paid, that is the port charges. Then loading charges will be paid, that means up to the loading on the ship the charges will be paid by the seller, that is exporter. That is FOB means till on board. Okay, rest will be responsibility of the buyer. Very simple. If you know the meaning, you can easily get the idea what is the responsibility and whose responsibility. So friends, very simple thing, you should know the meaning of Incoterm. You remember there are total 11 Incoterms and latest is 2020, effective from 1st January. 4 are only for the sea or the marine transport and 7 are for any mode of transport. Most favorable to the seller is EXW and most favorable to the buyer is DDP. Okay, you remember that thing if you know. And FOB is very important, right? FOB is important because here the charges to the seller is up to board, up to the putting the goods on the vessel or the on the container or on the ship. Okay, so FOB is important, you remember the FOB. Okay, so there may be, generally they are asking only 4, they are generally asking only 4, right? So here the terms which are mainly used during the sea transport or marine transport: FAS, right? FAS, FOB, CFR and CIF. So only 4 they are mainly asking. So that 4 you have to understand fully, right? And that 7 you just go through it. I know you have just gone through it and you will be getting more clarity. Okay, if you know the meaning of the term, you will get idea. Okay, and this chart is not for your remember. You don't have to remember this chart. You don't remember. Okay, you just go through it, understand it. Okay, it is not required that you should remember all the things. It is not even expected in the examination. You just go through it, you just apply your mind, you will get that what responsibility, whether it is buyer or the seller. Okay, so here we will stop. We'll continue our discussion in the next video.